All right, gang, let's have a little bit of fun. Normally, we get to do this as a whole class, and I'll have each table work together trying to make a gigantic map on their own. We don't have that opportunity right now because of the corona. So, we're going to try to have some fun. You're going to need a big piece of white paper if you got one, bigger than a notebook, to be honest with you. If you need a couple paper towels or something like that, just have a little fun with it. Remember, it's not for grades, just to kind of give you an idea of the changes that took place because of industrialization. All right, let's rock and roll. So we're going to build a map. Basically, we're going to build the map of a city, but we're going to show you how that city got its start. So pay attention, follow the instructions, pause the video so that you can draw the stuff, that sort of thing, and kind of work on your sizing a little bit if you need to as we go. All right, first things first. You're going to need to have your settlement be near some water. Okay, so add a river in blue across the center of your map. And remember, rivers don't ever flow straight. That would be a man made canal or something like that. And you're going to need to be able to get to the other side of your river. So throw us a bridge in there too. So you need a river for obvious reasons. You're going to need water, maybe need it for transportation and stuff like that. And then add a bridge so that you can get across it. Next, people lived on large farms. And when we say large farms, it just needed a lot of land in order to grow food in the way that they did to be able to feed everybody. So spread them out a little bit, 10 small homes with lots of land around them, and then add in some roads in black. And obviously, one of these roads is probably going to need to connect that bridge as you're going to use that road to cross over the river. And you're going to need to have a church. And I don't know if you've ever seen English movies or anything like that, but the majority of their cemeteries are right there, actually in front of the church, not behind them or off to the side like we see here for some country churches. So add 10 small homes, 4 roads, have at least one of them cross over the river where the bridge is, and then add in a church with a cemetery. Now, things are going to start to change. New people are going to begin to move in, and some of these folks are going to have some money. You're going to see people coming off of um, estates out in the country to move into areas where there are more people. So you're going to need to add 3 more small houses, still lots of land around them, and then you're going to need to add one large house in as well. And those people have money. Next, we're going to really see industrialization start to kick in. So these new people bring in some new ideas like factories. Now, you see the smokestacks on the factories here. That wasn't going to be quite how they worked back then. That's going to be a later on sort of thing, but it just kind of helps you notify everybody that's looking at your map that that's a factory. So you're going to need to put a textile factory by the river, okay? And it says, why does it need to be by the river? Well, it needs to be by the river for some pretty obvious reasons because they didn't have electricity back then. But what do they have? That's right, hydraulic power, not hydroelectricity. That's electricity made from hydraulic power. They had hydraulic power. There would be a huge mill, which is a turning wheel in the water, and it was connected by all sorts of almost rubber band like huge belts that turned all the machinery inside the factory. So it had to be right there beside the river. Then more people to work in the factory, so they're coming in. You're going to add 5 more houses, and they still love the Lord, so you're going to need to add one more church and another cemetery. Bigger is better. Wow, factories are really starting to grow. So people hear about how good the workers are, and so more rich people start to move in, and then they build 2 more large houses, so they'll have some place to live, and then we'll need to add in 2 more factories because this place is going to be pretty good for an industrial site. Where do you think they should go? Look back to your earlier thing as far as where the factories needed to go. Then you're going to need to add some more roads so people can get to these factories, and then all these factories are really going to need a lot of workers, and they're going to need to be close by. This is before the advent of the automobile and stuff like that. People need to be able to work close by where they live because they walked to work. Most of these folks did not have horses and stuff like that. So you're going to add what are called tenement buildings near your factories, 5 of them actually. And a tenement building is just the cool English word for an apartment building. Okay. So tenement buildings are going to be multi story and they are going to be terrible places to live. So add five of them nearby the factories. Awesome. Next up, we're seeing life change even more. So as more and more folks move in, life starts to get a little more difficult, and it is really run by the whistle of the factory as far as when they come to work and when they get to go home. So you need to add in two churches with cemeteries. You're going to need to add two pubs in, and pubs are restaurants that serve beer, and we act like they're bars, but they're not really. That's just the English public house is what they're the pubs is short for, and it's just where everybody gathered up to eat and that sort of thing. So rich factory owners are going to want some special treatment for their sons so that they'll know how to be rich factory owners later on. So they would build a school, and that would be off probably away from the factories somewhere. So you need to build in a school, and then you need to add two mansions because there's lots of money coming into your little but not so little anymore growing town. Progress indeed. Once the railroad is invented and it is invented for industrial purposes, they're going to use it to carry lots and lots of stuff from one place to the next. It's going to need to run on one side of the river, and it would probably connect your factory areas to probably a port on, depending on which part of England you're in, because we're using that as our example, probably be connected to a port, maybe Liverpool on the western side, or maybe Newcastle on the eastern side of the country, or London, or one of the other southern ports if it was in a different part of England. So you're going to need a railroad, make that look cool, add in two more factories. You know where they're going to need to go. Still don't have electricity yet. Five more tenement buildings for those folks to live in, and two more mansions for the factory owners. Are these factory owners going to want to be close to these stinking tenement buildings? Think about that. You're an urban planner now. Now, factories are starting to hurt the city in a lot of ways. It's starting to hurt the people, especially. Um, they would start to create at this time large scale cemeteries that weren't necessarily connected to these little parish churches like they were used to. Lots of people are going to die from injury, maybe in the factories, or sicknesses from living in the tenement buildings and their terrible conditions. But the hospital is only probably going to be for the rich people, and it's going to be supported by the rich people, mostly for them. And a lot of times the poor people couldn't necessarily use it. So you're going to need to get that near where the rich people lived so that they can be able to take advantage of it because they paid for it. Uh-oh. Folks aren't able to get along as well anymore for some reason. So you're going to need to add two more restaurants to go in, two more pubs to go with these growing excuse me, these growing populations. And you're also going to need a jail. And this was at a time where England was going through a change also in how they dispense justice and things like that, with a much more organized Scotland Yard kind of national police system as well. So you're going to need a jail for folks that are getting in trouble. Now, when you look back at that map, and I know it's taken you a while to get through it and it got more and more crowded, what changes happened to your little city? You're going to need to be able to report that to me on some paper. And also, how do you think that this changed the lives of the people? Okay. Both the poor people and the rich people, because that's what's really important. How did it change the lives of those people?